Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Let's start with a story about a store that had more red flags than a Soviet Union parade. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Let's go. Find a new job? Okay. I was working for a small local store chain, 17 stores across the state, paid $1 over minimum wage, apparently had decent benefits if you were full-time, they made sure no one was, and wasn't too terrible. Then last week, the entire staff at a different store quit at once. Didn't think much of it until our boss's boss came in and said he needed people to go cover that store. It was 42 miles away. Do we get any sort of raise or gas money? No, we don't pay you to drive to work. Will we work 8-hour shifts? No, you're all part-time employees. Of course, everyone started voicing their disapproval. Half of us don't drive at all, and most share a car with a family member. We're making maybe $20K a year, and now they want us to drive over an hour each way in traffic to work a 3 to 5 hour shift? The director, got upset and said, "I'll be back tomorrow and expect 4 volunteers. If you don't want to be a team player, I suggest you find another job." So I did just what he suggested, went online and found companies offering entry-level positions for several dollars more an hour, and some even had a signing bonus. I had 2 interviews set up the same day and ended up taking a warehouse job that paid $3 more and had a $1,000 bonus after 120 days. 2 other coworkers got a job there as well, and we're encouraging everyone at our store to apply. Apparently the job market's gone crazy lately, but none of us were really looking, so we didn't realize we were underpaid. And our next story. Sometimes the mechanic is right. Little backstory here. I'm a professional mechanic and have been for a little over 10 years. I specialize in diagnostics and heavy repair at a do-all shop. Basically, we work on all makes and models. Now, being a mechanic, we've seen the spectrum of customers who get mad over something they did. Bad parts and whatnot. But this story, even after 5 years, still makes me chuckle. It was a normal day when this lady drove her Hyundai van in for a diagnostic. Think of an older-looking Karen? Nothing unusual about her at first. She comes up and says her check engine light came on, and the car just doesn't want to move like it used to. No problem, I tell her. As we write up the work order and everything, I get to work while she waits. Upon pulling the van in, I noticed it's making noise, so I shut it down and immediately plugged in my scanner to read the computers in the car for errors. A bunch of error codes pop up. After looking over them, I see they all lead in the direction of timing issues. The car sees different positions for mechanical parts in the engine. My thought is, oh, timing belt jumped. Easy. Timing belt is a very critical part of some engines. It keeps the crankshaft and camshafts in perfect alignment. So I open the hood and go to pull the covers to expose the belt and check the condition. I had to take a few steps and let out a very audible, "Holy crap!" With part of the cover off, I found half the belt missing, most likely disintegrated from age, and the other is literally about to break completely. I see a few strands left holding this belt together. It's a miracle it ran even to get into my bay. Just an FYI, this particular engine is designed with tight tolerances, such as if the timing is too far off, it basically destroys the engine. The valves slam into the pistons, broken metal, banging, bad things that cost a lot of money. We look over it and see the vehicle is $30K past the recommended change for a timing belt. It's amazing this thing runs. We inform the customer and bring her out to the shop and show her what we found. We try to explain it in as layman terms as possible while still respecting her. Some old ladies know their crap on cars. It's crazy. She sees it and, from my story, appears to understand completely. I inform her it's a miracle it even drove. I highly recommend she not drive it or even start the engine until after the belt has been replaced. We go up front and I go over a timing belt replacement package with her cost of labor and parts. She flat out goes, "No, I don't trust you people." We get that a lot. I try to answer any questions she might have, but no, she's not having any of it. I let her know we'll price match any in town and that I've already marked it down way below normal price to try and help her out. But again, no, she wants her car back. I suggest she tow it to where she wants, and she flips on me. "I drove my car in. I'm going to drive it out." Okay. I immediately have her sign a waiver that she understands what can happen and we're not liable. By this point, we've reassembled the covers and pushed the van out to the parking lot. I again try to reason with her that it's a bad idea to run this engine. The belt replacement is only a few $100s versus $5,000 for a replacement engine. No, I'm driving it. She almost refused to pay our diagnostic fee until I told her I can hold the car indefinitely without payment. This whole time, I'm trying to be nice, but by now she's been screaming at me and my coworkers for 30 minutes, saying I'm holding her vehicle hostage and that I'm trying to sell her repairs she knows she doesn't need. And as for the MC, I handed her the keys, which she basically ripped from my hands and stormed out. We all kind of gathered to see if it'd even start. We heard the engine crank, fire up, then bam, followed by stall. We couldn't believe it. She attempted to start it again, this time just the engine free spinning with no compression. The belt broke and the engine had been damaged. Oh great, here goes the next hour of my life, though I'm trying hard not to laugh. She opened her door with enough force that I'm surprised it didn't break. She starts screaming at me, telling me I sabotaged her and that I have to fix it. We informed her of her choices, and that only made her turn a shade of red I did not think possible. She kind of went into a scream/squeal/yell thing that I can't explain. I only made out a few words like lawyer, sue, cops, as well as every expletive in the book. She told me if we didn't fix it, she'd call the police/corporate/managers/Yelp, the whole thing. We just said we warned her beforehand, but she didn't listen. The fault was hers and hers only. She started screaming in the parking lot, and we just went back inside laughing with a few of our other customers who were waiting. They heard it all. About 10 minutes later, the local police show up demanding to know what happened and how we destroyed her car. I go over it with them away from her. We show them our photo evidence attached to the work order and the written release of liability she signed. They agreed with us. Watching them walk back to her and seeing the grin slowly turn into disbelief was priceless. The van sat in our lot for almost a month while she tried to get our management and corporate to pay for it. They all denied it. We got a few calls from lawyers who we presented our evidence to and also said she had nothing. I think the best part of this entire ordeal is when she finally came in to have it towed. We informed her she owed us lot storage fees at $15 a day after the 7th day of work completed. The diagnostic she paid was the completed work. Cue Velociraptor screeches. Now, I want to make a point. Mechanics get a bad name. 1 out of every 100 shops might screw people over. It's true. I try my damnedest to prevent that, even giving work away if the situation calls for it, but there was no reason helping this person. Hell, had she been nice and informed me of money issues or something, I probably would have done the job for damn near nothing to help out. A lot of mechanics don't want to screw you out of money. We just want to make sure your huge investment stays in good shape. And our last story. Don't want to pay me what I'm worth? Well, let's see how that works out for you. So years ago, I was working for a laboratory that did a lot of testing for the military. It was a terrible job for a number of reasons. Despite having enormous responsibility, they never gave me credit for anything. In meetings with the department head, DH, they frequently blamed me for problems that they had caused, but I had solved, and they could not. They also hired consultants to come in and tell me I was wrong, only to have the consultants say I was right. And the consultants would get paid a quarter of my yearly salary for 1 day's worth of work. I only stayed on as long as I did because it was my first real job and honestly didn't know any better. But before I left, by their own standards, I was severely underpaid. HR agreed. They claimed there was nothing that could be done. Meanwhile, other people were given off-schedule raises. Well, I wasn't the only one that was underpaid. There were a number of others as well. But none of them were critical to the operation of the laboratory. Eventually, the DH went to the director with a list of all the underpaid people. I found out that my name was on the top of the list as the most underpaid person. Not surprising. Using this list, the DH got permission from the director for one-time raises. An announcement was made. Well, guess who didn't get a raise? This despite the fact that I'd made massive improvements in some of their processes that easily saved them millions of dollars per year, and their budget was just over $10 million. I was livid. I'd had enough and decided to leave. They hired 2 people to replace me at more than double my salary. One of them had just graduated 2 weeks before. From what I understand, they had a lot of difficulty. That would have been enough for most people, and maybe even for me for most of my life. but it wasn't enough for me then. I wanted revenge for what they'd done to me. So I arranged a meeting with one of the project managers from the Department of the Military that we'd done our tests for. I casually mentioned to him that I'd left my old job. He was shocked. Remember how I said they never gave me credit for anything? Well, the military PMs considered me an invaluable export and could not understand why the lab had driven me away. They immediately pulled several $1 million worth of work from the lab and gave it to the competition. Several labs were involved because they had no confidence that the lab could do the work anymore. When I ran into one of the lab managers, the only half-decent guy there, I casually mentioned my meeting with the PM, and I could tell he figured out how the military knew I'd left. It took them years to recover, and honestly, I don't know if they ever really did. Last time I checked their webpage, it hadn't been updated in 12 years. I would have been happy with a $20K raise, ecstatic even, but they weren't willing to spend $20K and lost $2 million to start and more in the long run. I started my own business and now make at least 5 times what I would had I stayed there until now, and more than 10 times what I was making when I left. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.